right, welcome everyone to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series. Tonight we are at Richmond Speedway for the Cookout 200 here in the iNRS Racing Series. I'm Rick Souza here in the booth with Ryan Pittman tonight. Ryan, this is Richmond. This is a 3/4 mile track that really can break a lot of hearts here.
Yeah, absolutely. Richmond, Virginia, and Richmond Raceway, always a pleasure to come out to, especially with the NASCAR Racing Series with the IWM broadcast booth. Pleasure to be back with you, Rick, and I think we got a lot of cool events going on for tonight. Of course, got some great drivers, got a great track. You know me, I'm a short track guy, so it's really cool to be back at this facility for another great race.
Yeah, looking forward to it, Ryan. Yeah, and you're exactly correct. People either they love them or they hate them. Short tracks really take a lot of patience as a driver. You've really got to not only figure out for yourself just where your braking points are, but you got to have a little bit of faith and trust with the guys around you.
Yeah, Richmond Raceway is just much more of a flow track than just about any other short track, I guess you could say, on the calendar. And what an awesome little facility is as well. Getting it down into one, trying to roll the brake and get off at two as the wall kind of closes up on you off that exit, and then trying to get into three where you try to get back on the binders, but also trying to roll through that corner to widen up your entry on the exit of four. Just a great little racetrack. And over the last couple of years with the next gen car, the racing grid has really kind of opened up here, and that's also led to another great effort of the racing there as well.
All right, we have moved into qualifying here as these drivers will line up. It's a short track. Pretty much if you're unfamiliar with the whole iRacing process, these drivers will go out and actually qualify virtually at the same time. So qualifying will happen relatively quickly. And with iRacing, if you're going around, you make a mistake, tag the wall, damage your car, well, that lap will not count. So sometimes we see some conservative driving here in qualifying. Sometimes not.
Yeah, especially with that outlap, you got to make sure you get the tires up to temp. As you see Ty Bostic there getting a little bit loose off into the first turn, I believe is what it is. And yeah, I mean, with this next-gen car specifically, I haven't really driven it a whole lot lately. But those tires, you've got to get those up to temperature before you really even attack the corners. A lot of times kind of sacrificing that first lap to try to get a better run at the second, or your second qualifying lap here. As we start to see some of the times start to come in, I've always kind of figured that the more conservative, I guess you can be, just kind of put down a base lap for the first one, try to go at it at the second one. That's been my best results, especially in the next-gen car, as you start to see some of the lap times starting to come in on the board.
Yeah, Jordan Wenzel just put up a 22:145. See, some drivers are struggling a bit, but we're getting our times in. Tyler Lem just put up a smoking 22:086. That was probably his second lap. Yep, you can see him basically just doing a little bit of a cool down. But yeah, second lap is always the fastest here. Again, as Ryan indicated, got to build up that tire temp and get yourself around.
Yeah, as you see a couple drivers kind of tagging a wall there off it too as well. We kind of mentioned a little bit earlier into the night. That corner specifically really closes up on you quick. It almost, it's kind of like a Darlington exit of 2 as well, where it just really catches you off guard if you're not expecting it. And turn 2, I think, is where we're going to see a couple issues tonight, but we'll just have to see once we get into race time. But qualifying here, looks like Tyler Lem is still at the top of the board right now.
All right. Qualifying is pretty much wrapping up. There's about 2.5 minutes left, but there's only a handful of drivers who have not qualified. Just 2 at the moment who have not made it back out to qualify.
And well, you know, it's a 200 lap race, 150 miles around the action track, so they call it. So honestly, that may not be a bad call if you decide to not qualify, start in the rear, let things kind of settle out. It is a long race relatively, so especially at a racetrack like this where if you're not all too comfortable at short track racing, that may not necessarily be the bad call, just kind of getting it started, letting yourself settle in, and start to attack it later on into the race.
All right, pretty much. I think we've got one driver who is out. We're waiting on John DeRudris to qualify.
Yeah, good buddy John DeRugis, of course, with the IWM Broadcast Network. Hadn't talked to him for a little while. Hopefully, we'll see him at a good showing tonight. I know he is a very quick driver, and I believe also a short track ace to an extent as well. So, looks like he also got a little bit loose and sideways off of four. Going to try to go for a second time there
Yeah,
as he teleports
that's
back to pit road.
with a track as short as this and lap times, somewhere in that 22-second range, you can with just 1 minute left of qualifying, you can, if you work hard, you can try to get out there, but he may only get one lap in for qualifying.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, your best lap is likely going to be that second lap, and as it seems, it's only going to be one lap up on the board for John DeRudris, so we'll see where he's going to slot in. Once again, looks like Tyler Lem is going to be at the top of the board. One car still left to qualify. That is that number 59 machine of DeRudris as he makes his way off of two.
Yeah, I think Ty Bostic basically said, you know what? It's all good. I'll just take I'll be at the I'll take that back position like you talked about and work it from there.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, these cars are so incredibly snappy. And again, it's been a little while since I've driven an next-gen car. I was actually driving the Tour mods here earlier in the week, but next-gen cars are just such a different animal. I always kind of, like I mentioned, that first dead lap, kind of bump the brake bias to the front, make sure you don't get any kind of sideways.
He's going to miss getting this in by a second. Oh, he got it in.
He might have.
Might have. Don't know. All right, so how this works here in the IWM, the iNRS Racing Series, is these drivers will go off. They've got 5 minutes of time where they can do a driver's meeting, do what they need to do. In the meantime, we've got lots of things to cover here. First, let's talk about this event. So we don't have a track map showing Richmond these days, but you know what it is. It's a D-shaped short track. We'll give you that.
I think everybody at this point knows what Richmond Raceway looks like. Of course, a little bit of an update from the sim over the last couple months. What a great job that iRacing has done to get this track up to modern standards as far as visual looks as it goes. Of course, you look down in the turns number 2, a lot of the grandstands being removed and that beautiful Toyota display being added to the sim as well. But yeah, just a great track, as I mentioned, as we look through some of the other stuff, 82 degrees and 11-mile-an-hour wind, a couple other stuff as well.
You got it. So 200 laps here tonight here at this track. We've got a stage break at lap 66. With this league, there are no quick repairs, so pretty much you break it, you own it. There are 6 sets of tires, 75% fuel. We'll get you some fuel calculations, but I think the tail of the tape is not going to be so much about fuel here. It's going to be about tire wear. And then we do have 3 green-white checkers if we need it. As Ryan indicated, it's a little steamy here at the track, over 101 degrees. Track time, we'll get an updated track temperature once we go racing.
Yeah, and I'm always kind of on the side of not having any kind of fast repairs. I think that as a driver, it kind of changes your mentality that you don't have any mulligans. And that means that when you go out there, well, you got to kind of settle in for the first little bit of the race. Let the race come to you. Make sure you're there at the end, and you can't win the race if you're sitting in the pits. So I think it always kind of leads to a cleaner aspect of the event into the night. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. Hopefully it's a pretty clean race. I know iRacing and Richmond and short tracks, sometimes can be a little bit of a mess per se, but I'm looking forward to tonight's race for sure.
Absolutely. All right, so right now we've got the current stats as to what's out there today, where we are at today with just really 2 laps left. Everybody in yellow, they've already punched their ticket in. Really, we're focusing on those drivers who are kind of on the bubble, those last positions, 13 through 16, and then those guys who are just out, because nearly all of them are they're within striking distance.
Yeah, of course, as if we take a look at the board here, it looks like, as you mentioned, Anthony Japs, Ron Fitting, Austin Walden, and Richard Mills still looking to try to punch their way into the final races to try to get into the championship playoffs. So definitely be keeping an eye on those drivers to see if they can get it done tonight in the River City.
All right. Okay, so we're right now waiting. They've got about a minute and a half or so before we go back to racing, and we'll get that grid for you. Let's get rid of our standings and talk a little bit about the keys for tonight's race. I think number one, man, you've got to have some patience.
Yeah, for sure. With a racetrack like that, I've kind of honed in on it a little bit before the race even gets started. You just got to make sure you're there at the end. You said no fast repairs, so what you got is what you get. You kind of deal your own cards here early in the race, so make sure you keep an eye out for not only yourself but other drivers around you. Give it a little bit of extra room, and I think it'll kind of do you well by the end time. So patience, as you mentioned, the second one, of course, staying out of danger. That kind of both kind of ties into one, as you could kind of say. Make sure again you you got your spotter. You got to use it here tonight for sure.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks where you've really got to set yourself up for success, because corner entry going into one and into three really kind of set you up for corner exit. So you've really got to make sure that you pick that point. Get your braking point figured out, get your corner entry, get the best speed in, and then be able to power out and get back on the throttle safely. Kind of like I've described it before. It's like, you're using that throttle, stepping on an egg. You need to just be careful. You don't want to overdrive it. These cars have enough horsepower, even with this short track package. A little bit too much throttle, and you're going to loop it right around.
Yeah, especially if you kind of seen off of two where that corner kind of narrows up a little bit. You're kind of tempted to kind of lean into the throttle just a little bit early there, and it can certainly bite you just as much as off of four, as it opens up so much more. You're tempted to get back into the throttle so much harder. So corner entry, corner exit just as well. Getting into here and being smooth on that throttle, it's going to pay you in the end.
Yeah, corner one is kind of deceiving for a lot of guys who have not spent a lot of time racing this track. You think you can maybe bite in a little bit deeper, you can go a little bit wider. You can't. By the time you're trying to figure the corner out, the corner number two comes right up on you, and you're going to find yourself in trouble.
Yeah, and it's really easy to slide up into the car on the outside of you if you're not prepared for it. Looks like we're getting ready to jump into race time here. Cars are starting to grid up on the racetrack. And as you can see, it's gotten a lot cooler, a lot darker here on the racetrack as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting, just what's happened here. I think hopefully the lights come on, light up the track. We'll see how that goes. That's a little bit challenging. Headlights are looking like they may be on, at least the running lights on the pace car, but we'll bring up that grid. All right, you want to kick us off, Ryan?
Yeah, starting in the front row, of course, is going to be Tyler Lim in a Mountain View Racing machine. Alongside him on the outside is going to be Billy Smith II. Starting in the second row on the inside, Jordan Wenzel. Alongside him is going to be Tyler Sexton. Eric Jeffers is going to be starting at P5, and P6 is going to be Austin Wheeler. Row number 4 on the inside, Jacob Musso and Ron Fitting to his outside. P9 is going to be Matt Perusini and John DeRudris in 10th.
All right, in 11th, you've got Richard Mills to the outside, Scott Thomas. In 13th, Dakota LaRue with Tony Japs to the outside, Corey Ennis in 15th, Vince Burns in 16th, Bradley Reese in 17th, John Ledger in 18th, Joe Musso in 19th, and Shane Trotter in 20th. In 21st, Austin Walton, Mike Wheel finds himself in 22nd, and Ty Bosick, after that spin in qualifying, will be taking up the rear.
Yeah, Ty Bostic going to be holding out your 23-car field here. And honestly, as experienced of a driver as he is, not really too worried about it. I know he's a smart driver. I'm sure we'll find him up there towards the top 10, top 5, hopefully at the end. So one of these Southern E Motorsports guys and Rock Motorsports as well. Done a lot of stuff with IWM and been a good friend of ours for quite some time too. So cars are gridded up. We're getting ready to go green in here just a moment here as pace car continues to make his way around the racetrack.
Looking up towards the infield and track lights, seeing if there's anything we're seeing. Not at the moment. We'll just keep up with the drivers, hoping the lights will brighten up this track. Should be working okay soon. We've had some issues with iRacing and lighting over the past season.
Yeah, well, some of the updates they've made, the lighting's definitely looked a lot better, but it's also made it look a little bit darker. As the pace car looks for the safety of pit road, we're going to the restart zone, and we are going to be green here in just a moment. And now we are for the Cookout 200 at Richmond.
already a challenge right there to the 99 of Tyler Lem. He's got some pressure to the outside with the 70 of Billy Smith, and right behind him, Jordan Wenzel. No stranger to that front row.
Yeah, that number 70 machine is going to try to make that outside line work as he tries to work through turns number 4 here. And try to make that momentum work off the front straightaway. And now he's going to try to slide into second here because he's got a challenger to the inside. That, of course, is the driver of 81, Jordan Wenzel.
All right, field begins to spread out a bit as these drivers are making their way around the track.
Yeah, I think this is kind of what we're trying to look at here is these drivers wanting to kind of settle in just a little bit, start finding their single file grooves, not really race too hard here as you see a battle for what I believe is 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th here as they're still trying to find positions. Very good. Turn number 2, that's what we talked about. That trouble spot, the 35 machine getting into the wall there. That is Tyler Sexton off the corner. Looks like we are under our first yellow of the night here in Richmond.
Yeah, Dakota LaRue got involved back here. A number of drivers at 36 of Bradley Reese also got together. See if we can do a quick replay as to what happened to these drivers.
Looks like just got a little bit loose there.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think there's a little bit of collateral damage. We'll see how that goes here. That's the following the 18 of Dakota LaRue. Number of drivers get around.
Yeah, and just some innocent casualties there, unfortunately. And, man, like I've kind of mentioned with this next-gen car, once it starts to snap, there's really not a whole lot you can do to try to save that car. They are so snappy once you get it past that slip angle. And I think that's exactly what we saw off of 2 with the number 18 car.
All right, number of drivers making their way down to pit road. The 59 of Derudris, Ledger, Wheel, Dakota LaRue, Bradley Reese. One thing we have noticed here, and again, this is there is a stage break here at lap 66, is some strategy. We'll see how these drivers figure out how they want to play the fuel game, the fuel mileage game. That is something that will come into play.
Yeah, it's kind of one of those racetracks as well where you can certainly get a couple cautions here early. You could also get them later, but if this place kind of strings out a little bit, you can get a long green flag run, and that can certainly play into a strategy call of, if you're a driver, how long is it going to be before we get those long green flag runs, hopefully towards the end, and are you going to be caught out on tires, or are you going to be caught out on fuel at any point in that standing?
So assuming they're using, depending on the gear they're running, this is a track they're not really at the highest speed they're going to achieve. You're up to maybe 105 miles an hour. But based on our basic calculation here in the broadcast booth, really this field could do nearly 90 laps on one full tank of Sunoco fuel.
Yeah, so the question is, you make it 90 laps and feel how well are the tires going to feel at the end of that run? So
I think that's the big problem. There's no way you're going to get 90 laps on these tires.
Well, and it's kind of seen, and again, it's been a while since I've driven this car, but it always seemed like when I did, it was always more heat related. Once you kind of get them settled down, they're good for a little while longer. But just trying to keep the heat out of those tires, and all the heat cycles certainly not going to help it out as well. It looks like we are going to be getting the pace car lights off, so we may be going to green flag, back to green flag here after this lap.
Got a little bit of that golden hour of sunlight there creeping into here to Richmond Speedway.
Yeah, both drivers back in the front row. Of course, that is the number 70 machine on the outside of Billy Smith, and then on the front row on the first position is Tyler Lem in that Ford for Mountain View Racing.
Now these drivers in this league have the option to, if you're the leader, you get to choose your starting position, either inside or outside. Tyler chose the inside, probably a wise move.
Yeah, it kind of go either way here. If you're on the outside line here at Richmond, you can kind of, if you get a good enough start and you're down 3/4 pass forward, by the time you get into 1, you can kind of pinch him off exit, and that run off of 2 can actually help you out a little bit. So we'll be kind of curious to see which drivers choose the inside, and if anybody's going to be brave enough to go on the outside theirs. It looks like the 99 heads back out into the lead. Of course, Tyler Lem making his return to the front and, well, trying to turn laps here.
All right, field begins to spread out. Looking back through the field, back here in 10th, you see the 42 of Tony Japs working his way around. He's got a lot of drama happening in front of him. They're 2 and 3 wide there.
Yeah, Tony Japs, another one of those drivers trying to make his way back into the playoff contention. So he's going to be looking for hopefully a good run here, possibly a win if he can get it done, but still sitting the outside looking in for Tony Japs. But where'd you say he was? Back in 14th, 15th, somewhere around there?
Yeah, we can bring up that standing real quick. So right now, Tony Japs he's just 3 points out of looking out. So he's looking for any of those drivers to make a mistake. I think if you're a driver, the last place you want to have to try and qualify or break in is going to be Daytona. You want it to happen here.
Yeah, for sure. And anything, as you mentioned, anything can happen at Daytona, and that's one of the tracks that probably scares me the most on the sim. At least in short track racing, I feel like I can control myself, a little bit more. But man, these drivers, we kind of talked about as well how high they're willing to go up on a racetrack. Some drivers keeping it nice and tidy on the bottom, others trying to carry the momentum way up top as well.
You see the 55 of Richard Mills diving down low, trying to get around and pick up a position here. He's got Tony Japs to the outside, and he's got number drivers Corey Ennis at 27 right there in front of him. Looking further back, you see John Ledger there in the 19 car. He is trying to work his way up. He started 18. He's still in 18. But the big mover so far is Ty Bostic. We know Ty started dead last. He's now picked up 9 spots.
There you go. We talked about that number 22 machine, and a driver we're going to look for as far as making his way up to the front. Hopefully, by the end of the night, I believe he's probably sitting there in the points as well somewhere.
Yeah, right now, right?
Oh, that's the second time of the night I've seen that 88 machine lock up into turn number 3.
Yeah, he was hard on the binders. You were trying to slow that car down.
Yeah, for sure, and that's a dangerous situation if you are the 88 machine and you got a car on your outside. You do that once more, and there's a car to your right there. That could be trouble. That can sniff trouble. But now, there you go. Looking again, we see smoke out the front. Looks like somebody else might have made contact somewhere. And man, a plethora of cars all over the racetrack out of 4.
So the 59 of John DeRugis, who qualified well, but now finds himself in 20th position. But again, it's a 200 lap race. Plenty of time to find yourself a way to get back up to the front.
Yeah, plenty of time in that 22 machine thinking about sniffing away 3 wide into turn number 3 there. Thinks better of it. Tries to run that outside line. Maybe try to cut down off of 2. And find a few more positions here before the end of stage 1.
Headed back up front, we'll see Tyra Lem. He's got a good battle on his hands as he's trying to hold back the 48 of Austin Wheeler and Jordan Wenzel. They've got a little bit of gap now forming between that group and the next drivers, about 2 seconds. And here at Richmond, 2 seconds is nearly half a straightaway.
Yeah, Austin Wheeler doing a good job on the night as well, up 4 spots from where he started. He's sitting there in second right now, got a good job. It looks like we may have one car that's around, the 88 machine. Looking for a caution here. Yep, there you go.
Yeah, Richard Mills.
I think that might have been that. I think that might have been that same thing where a little bit of tire lockup we were mentioning earlier.
Yep. I think that's certainly what happened. We can jump back real quick and take a look at what happened to the 88. We're watching now. See Tony Japs in the 42 behind the 88. And again, your braking zone may be different than my buddy's braking zone, which is just what happened here. You got a little bit of help that sends that 88 around.
Yeah, and that 88 was so close to saving it, and there you go. That late snap there is what got him. He's going to find his way to the outside line and into the outside wall. Fortunately, does not appear to be any kind of worse for wear on that machine. 4 new tires, and he'll be ready to go back at it. Yeah.
All he lost was a little bit of rubber and maybe just a little bit of. He may not be too happy with the 42, but that's Richmond.
That's Richmond.
All right, he elects to stay out. On that number of drivers, Ledger and DeRugis both are in. Look at these. That what I'm seeing here, and I'm noticing is that for John Ledger, That was nothing but fuel.
Yeah, and honestly, I wouldn't be too afraid of if I was one of these drivers. Just kind of doing that. Just come down, top off on fuel. Again, we still got a long ways to go. Maybe kind of ride out the first 50 laps out there in the back, then start to try to find your way to the front. As you mentioned, there's only 22, 23 cars out on the racetrack, here tonight. So trying to make your way up to the front may not be as difficult as it's been in times past. Of course, if you're a good short track racer, hugging that bottom, you can kind of make up a lot of passes here pretty quick. So we'll see what drivers and different strategies we'll see over the night. But man, if you're any driver, that number 99 machine up front, still looking pretty stout.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened with John DeRugis. We must have missed some damage he may have gotten on that car. He's been in and out of the pits trying to get something worked on. I see him coming down again onto pit road. I don't see any damage, Ryan. Do you?
Nothing all too visible. There may have been something there in the left front, but again, it's a little bit tough to tell.
No, you're exactly correct. That left front's got some damage.
Yeah. Well, as it looks like we got the pace car lights are off here. And we'll go one more time around and send it back green on lap number 23 of 200. A tenth of the way through. And 177 laps to go here in the Cookout 200, Rick.
Already laps are ticking by. We're 1/3 of the way to the stage break at lap 66.
And a lot of these drivers, we kind of talked about the tires and the heat cycles on those said tires and how they're going to hold up if the swing of the car is going to kind of change in any kind of direction here. But we head through the restart box. It continues to be the 99 of Tyler Lemon, Austin Wheeler on the front row, the leader electing the inside line once more. We are back green at Richmond.
Tyro Lem continues to lead from the inside. The outside of Austin Wheeler has got a little bit of competition trying to get that outside line work and do something, find something, any way to get around. A little bit of contact there on the outside retaining wall.
Yeah, but look at this, that 48 machine trying to tuck that 99 there on the bottom, trying to leave him nothing more than a racing line on that outside groove, and he may be able to make it work here on the outside line.
He's trying. He's getting that car around. He's got about half a car on the 99 of Lem.
Look at it, and he's going to do it. That's what I was talking about. You can make that outside line work here if you're able to pinch that driver down, make sure that he can't get back into the throttle any earlier than he wants to, and you can make it work in that 48 machine, showing just how easy it is to make it work from an experienced driver such as himself. Great move.
All right, 48 takes over the lead here. Tyler Lem in second. Jordan Wenzel finds himself in third.
And that might have also been that 99 machine being like, hey, you know what? Good move. We're not going to run it too hard. We still have a long ways to go. I'll take second here and make sure that we don't end up in any kind of troubles and go back at it a little bit later in the race. Maybe save your tires a little bit more, let the 48 run away with it, and I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, exactly. If you want it that hard, you can have it. I'm right here. A little bit of action happening right there in the back. Saw a car out of shape, but looks like he's got it back together.
Yeah, a lot of action there further off in the back. And it looks like we are almost 3 wide-up points back there. I think, as you mentioned, one car getting way wide and another car getting way wide into 1 and 2 as well. Again.
Yeah, watching back through the back of the pack here as they're 2 wide here. The 27 of Corey Ennis, the 17 of Austin Walton to the outside there. As these guys are battling side by side, number of drivers are hugging that outside line.
Yeah, that 35 machine of Tyler Sexton, I think, has been just about higher than anybody else out on the racetrack right now. He's been probably 4 grooves up in a 1 and 2, and again in 3 and 4. That 35 machine way wide once more as they head into the third turn.
I mean, you can make that work, certainly. And it's all about finding that sweet spot, whether it's you as the driver or for you for the car, what runs best for you. So.
Yeah, it may behave a little bit differently with the tires there, but hey, one thing I've kind of always found, there's been a lot of drivers that's been successful with it. Run where others aren't. If everybody's kind of tucked down there on the bottom, they can get stacked up and tied up and with all, and if you can make that outside work and you can figure out how to run that groove, man, you can make up a lot of positions out there as well.
as we're just talking about positions changing, we're talking about Ty Bostic here, now showing in 9th place. He is up 14 spots here at Richmond as we just finished the 32nd lap.
Yeah, Ty doing an excellent job once again, just being slow and methodical there on the bottom line, not really pressing anything, kind of letting the car come to him and making moves where others make mistakes and not really pushing a whole lot of the issue here. But now he looks to see if he can get back down to the car in front of him. Of course, that is number 55 of Vince Burns in front of him as he makes the move off of 4.
Yeah, Vince Burns moves to that high line. 22 tries to make it work on the lower side, hugging that inside line. You know, he's just been pretty methodical, just kind of working, chipping away.
Yeah, and just like that, he once again finds himself into the top 10 here. Halfway through the field, and while he's still got a couple cars, it looks like he's going to be able to get through with that time. It looks like the number 3 machine of Ron Fitting is up in front of him as he tries to make his way through. But back up at the front, we see that 99 machine slipping back even further again. He's yielded the 4th spot to Matt Perusini, and he's going to slot down to 5th here, sliding back in a hurry for that 99.
Yeah, the 24 of Matt Perusini moves up to solid 4th. He's up 5 positions here as he's cracked into the top 5. His next car he's got to work on is the 70 of Billy Smith, who we saw up front. And again, as Ryan said earlier, you know, this is a long race. You've got 200 laps to sort this thing out. You can't win it here at lap 36. You just got to bide your time.
Yeah, and with this relatively long run here, I think the way the tires are going to swing can really start to make a difference here. This is about the time when you start to feel if you've pushed the tires to the limits at all, if you've overheated the right front or the right rear, you're going to feel it right now, as we are several laps into a run, and that's definitely going to start to be a factor here in a minute.
All right, back up front, Austin Wheeler continues to lead this event. We'll bring up some gap information here where he's sitting. It's pretty simple. He's got that little bit of that gap above the 81 of Jordan Wenzel right there, just a few car lengths behind. Same with Billy Smith and Matt Perusini. Tyro Lem again finds himself in 5th.
Yeah, just taking a look at the lines here for that 48 machine of Austin Wheeler. Look how tight he's able to be on that bottom line. Just kind of rolling there into the corner, right there against the yellow line there, and off of 4 all the way up to the wall as he makes his way the wide entry, of course, down the front straightaway. The D shape goes down into turns 1 again, right there on the bottom. Does not leave it a whole lot here as he gets back into the throttle. Straight line exit there off of 4, a little bit of counter steer as he heads down the back straightaway into 3 again, chipping out just a little bit. They're perfect lines for that number 48 machine.
Yeah, one of the things you've got to watch out for is that transition where this track meets apron there. A little bit of bite there on that painted line or just offset will spin this car around.
Yeah, one of the biggest things you kind of see there is you make your way off the corner, trying to have that wheel as straight as possible before you really start to roll into the throttle. That's going to help you out a lot here as you start to see that wheel starting to unwind as he makes his way off of 4. That's how he's making all his time, and that's how he's leading right now with about half a second lead here, just ahead of Jordan Wenzel.
What you also, if you do look to the right side on the retaining wall, on the safer barrier, you'll see some red vertical lines. Those are visual keys for the driver that will help him to make at his point where he's going to be able to back out of the throttle and say, oh, okay, I can be hard on to this point and then need to roll out of the throttle and use that visual cue to get back on.
Yeah, I've always been kind of almost kind of more of a feel kind of guy. I know there's a lot of people that will methodically use those markers as a dead braking zone every time they get into a corner. Me, I've just always kind of gone mostly off of feel, a little bit off the motor and the chip, and it's kind of served me well. But a lot of drivers with different kind of attitudes in short track racing making it work is, again, that tight exit doing just perfect for that 48 machine.
Yeah, slow and steady wins the race here at Richmond for sure.
Yeah, not too far back. Still on his heels is Jordan Wenzel here.
Well, again, Jordan's no stranger. He's won a lot of races this season here in the iNRS Racing Series.
Yep, we're starting to close in on into our first stage break. As you mentioned, lap number 66. We're on lap number 45 here. As we again start to head down, we'll go through the top 5 real quick. And the first position, of course, is Austin Wheeler. And second is Jordan Wenzel. In third, Billy Smith. Fourth, Matt Pirosini. Fifth, Tyler Lem. Sixth, Ron Fitting. Seventh, Ty Bosket. Eighth, Eric Jeffers. Ninth, Tony Japs. And 10th, Jacob Mousseau.
All right, lights are on here. Finally at Richmond, they got that generator cranked up. That hamster wheel is turning, and we're beginning to see what a night race here at Richmond is all about.
Yeah, Richmond's one of the most favorite tracks that I've been to. I've been to, I think, 3 races in my time here in North Carolina. So, first race being with that Carl Edwards win back in, what was it, 2016, between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch there off of 4 in the bump and run there. And that was that actually ended up being Carl Edwards' second to last win of his career. But then was there for the 2 Martin Truex races in like 2018, 2019, somewhere around there as well. So Richmond's such a cool little racetrack, and honestly, it's actually been racing relatively decent with this next-gen car, as you mentioned. The groove's starting to kind of open up a little bit. Of course, the next-gen car is struggling just a little bit, as a lot of people noticed with the short-track racing package. But hopefully this weekend's a little bit better. And honestly, some really good racing here tonight. A lot of clean racing all the way around the racetrack.
Yeah, we've really seen that all season here with the iNRS Racing League. A lot of these guys have been racing together for a long time. They know each other, and you really need that familiarity on a track like Richmond.
Yeah, of course. And as a driver, you're going to make mistakes, but it goes a long way whenever somebody makes a mistake and you know that it's just an honest mishap on their part, no ill will. And it really goes a long way in the league. And that's something that I've kind of been instilling into some of the guys that I race with in my league, where you'll have a platform where everybody's just there for a good time, and we'll have 15 to 16 cars, but we're just all out here to enjoy short track racing and really iRacing in general. So it really goes a long way in a league to have a great group of guys, a great group of talent out here and putting on a show for the fans here for the iNASCAR Racing Series.
All right, looking back, see the 22 of Bostic now up to 6th. He's plus 17. He's kind of like our story of the night, it seems, as he tries to get around the 3 of Ron Fitting. Back up front, Matt Pirosini is caught up to the bumper of the 70. And these guys, these 4, Wheeler, Wenzel, Smith, and Pirosini, are right there.
Yeah, 4 cars under a blanket here. And this is really cool to have all these cars up here at the front, starting to kind of race for that lead. And that second car, I think, is kind of holding up the pack here just a little bit there. You see 2 and 3 cars there battling for it. It looks like the 70 machine thinking about an inside line dip on that second place car. Thinks better of it as they work off of 2. He's going to try to set up another pass into 3.
Well, these guys all know in 13 laps that flag is going to fly for that stage break at lap 66. They just got to hang on to that point, and then the whole race changes. Your strategy changes. Now you think about the final 134 laps to finish out this race.
Yeah, and this is one of the things that I really enjoy about short track racing, is trying to manipulate your car and try to manipulate the driver in front of you to try to make it pass, try to run maybe a little bit wider entry into 1 to try to cut off 2, knowing that that's not where you're going to make your move. You're probably going to make your move somewhere around turns number 3 to try to get to that inside line. And just setting up your passes takes a couple laps oftentimes. It looks like he's going to stick another nose there off of 2, but not going to make it work here. You go down into 3. This is where you're going to be hard on the binders. Let the car roll just a little bit. Try to tuck low and get back into the throttle off of 4 and try to stick a nose to the inside. That's what we see right here.
Yeah, he's got that position. Can he make it work for him? I think he can.
And that's, again, where you've got to be disciplined on the binders there, knowing you want to send it deep, you want to send it hard to the inside line, but you cannot afford to lock up the tires here and slip up at all. Great job out of the number 70 machine, Billy Smith, getting it done. He's still working on that car to his outside, trying to get it done. We're closing in on the final laps here in stage number 157 up on the board as we close in on the end of this.
That stage will end at the end of lap 66. So 66 will come. The stage, the pits will close. They'll close it off 2 laps before the stage break happens, and
yeah, I think this is kind of where we're also seeing just a little bit there how strong you really can be on that outside line for multiple laps here. If you can keep that car pinned to carry that momentum through the corners, you can really be competitive and hang on for quite some time. Is only just now that 70 machine starting to clear. He's going to be able to clear up here into 1. Just maybe. Just maybe. We'll see here off of 2 if he's able to get up to the wall.
well, the 81's not giving up on that. He's really trying to make it work, but at this point, Jordan Wenzel's punched his ticket, but I'm sure Jordan Wenzel's probably one of the most competitive guys out there. He wants those stage points.
Yeah, and you saw that machine there trying to slip down to the bottom, and the 24 said, no, sir, I'm going to try to take that spot as well and keep you stuck on the outside line. Now he's going to be losing 2 spots here. Does that 81 machine of Jordan Wenzel.
Well, these guys have 60-plus laps already on these tires. Nobody in the top 12 have come in at any point, so these guys are basically running on the tires they qualified with.
Yeah, nobody doing it better right now than that number 48 machine out front, still holding a pretty hefty lead as we're going to close down into the final laps here in stage number 1. 48 Austin Wheeler trying to hold off that 70 machine of Billy Smith here in the final 4 laps here in the stage number 1.
So far, just as a recap, the fastest lap we have seen on track has been posted by Tyrell Lambeck, lap 9 with a 21.658. They're not
Here
doing...
we go. Battle for the lead here. 70 machine looking down to the inside into 1. Here you go.
What a fabulous run that 70 had.
Last couple laps really turned up the heat. Said, well, we're going to be taking tires here in the next couple laps. Might as well try to go and see what I've got. And, well, it's taking him right up to the top spot here. 70 machine, Billy Smith the second. Going to be leading your final laps. We get 3, now call it 2 laps to go here in the first stage, and he's starting to extend his lead ever so more. The 24 machine looking down to the inside. Matt Puricini looking to see if he can also get by the 48.
24 battling hard now, trying to take over that position, pick up those extra stage points.
There you go. We're looking for lap number 65. One more time around here for the iNASCAR Racing Series Cup Series drivers as we're getting ready to close down on that stage when it looks like Billy Smith really, I mean, you're looking at these different drivers. We've seen some comers and goers all throughout this first quarter of this race. And, well, at one point I thought it was going to be the 48. Then I thought at another point it was going to be Jordan Wenzel. Now Billy Smith looking to see if he's the top dog here.
Oh, cautions come out. Austin Walton.
Yeah, right there at the end of your stage break. The 17 machine getting into the outside wall.
Oh, a little bit of contact with the 42 there, sends the 17 into the wall.
Yeah, it's kind of tough to see what happens to that 42 machine of Tony Japs. Is not sure if he just got onto the brakes or carried a little bit too much speed into the corner. Nevertheless, the 2 cars making contact. 17 getting shot to the outside line, and that should finish up our first stage break here of the night.
It does. That first stage break will actually finish up under an actual caution. Perfectly timed, actually.
So, of course, a lot of cars coming down pit road here. First and only Billy Smith, Matt Puricini, Austin Wheeler, Jordan Wenzel, Ty Bostic, all of your top 15, 16, 17 cars here. Just about everybody, I would imagine, coming down to pit road for some fresh boots and a can full of fuel here. Pit road looking to see who's going to be off first as we see the number 70 machine just now dipping into his box. And of course it looks like it is going to be a 4-tire stop, unsurprisingly, for the number 70 machine. That's something I'm kind of curious about as you get later on into this run. Could you maybe make a drive if we get to a situation there at the end for maybe just 2 tires? It could work. Could definitely change the handling, especially here at Richmond, Virginia. So that may be something we might be able to look at a little bit later. If you're there in the back, I would almost be kind of tempted to kind of try it here early just to see how the feeling of your car would be. You're already at the back. Try to maybe take 2 tires, see how the handling is, and keep that in your back pocket as we get later into the night.
All right, Billy Smith able to get back up front after that pit stop. Austin Wheeler does get a quicker stop and take over for the 24. Looks like he had about a 0.3 faster pit stop. That puts the 48 out into second place. So put him to the outside of the 70. All right, we thank you so much for tuning in tonight to the IWM Broadcast Network here as we broadcast and bring to you the iNRS Racing Series. This series matches what you see on Sunday, so it's a great opportunity for a little bit of preview. Yes, it's virtual, but gives you a chance to see what's going to happen on Sunday. We've been here since the very beginning of this season, very blessed to have the opportunity to broadcast this league for a number of years here on the IWM Broadcast Network. We've seen some great racing here with these drivers and continue. Next week, we will be at our last race of the regular season as we cover this series at the Daytona for the Coke Zero Sugar 200.
Yeah, and I've always kind of liked Daytona being the finish and the finale of your regular season. Always kind of adds for a little bit of extra drama, always the kind of chances of sliding another driver into the championship here, but looks like we are back under green in Richmond for the Cookout 200. The 70 machine getting a heavy start there. He's going to clear the 48, and they're going to head down to the 1.
All right, restarts always are a challenge here. Oh, car goes around 24. Matt Parasini goes around.
And I think he might have just lost that on his own. Of course, we're going to get a replay here, but off the second corner, and again, these tires being fresh boots, they're going to be a little bit cooler here. So if you didn't prep your tires trying to get up to preparation for this green flag, well, it might have bit you here as we see the 24. Yep, just getting loose and getting around off the second turn there, Rick.
Yeah, it just
Wow.
I think as we talked about before, you've got fresh tires, they're cold, and you've got to be super careful on that throttle.
Yeah, and another thing to kind of keep in mind is as that was running that previous segment there, you probably were bumping a brake bias back just a little bit. Of course, that's not going to help you with what happened here on exit, but just a couple things to kind of keep in mind that your brake bias is probably going to change from that previous run to this run here. Again, just kind of bump it forward just a little bit. Make sure your car is settled there as we get into the corner, and no surprises is what I kind of look forward to on this first couple laps. Then you can kind of start working it back into your regular form. But yeah, as you see there, a little bit of left front damage from that number 24 machine. He's going to find his way to his crew and into the pits. And also looks like John DeRudris again down on pit road getting some repairs made.
Yeah, we noticed. Yeah, I did have some front end damage. He's taken every opportunity to have those folks take care of it.
Well, we had a nice little green flag run there to finish out stage number 1. Now we have a early caution in stage number 2. Hopefully things get settled down just a little bit, and we are going to be preparing ourselves for another great run here in Richmond, Virginia. But right now we are once again under the caution here on lap number 74 of our 200 lap endeavor.
Did get word from the admin that the 3 of Ron Fitting was assessed an EOL, an end of the line penalty that he had to serve on that restart for driving through 4 stalls upon leaving the pits.
Yeah. It's another rule that you have to kind of keep in mind, trying to keep true to NASCAR and NASCAR form there, making sure that you don't drive through too many pit boxes on your entry into the box and also on your exit of that box as well. So number 3 getting tapped for a penalty, and he's going to be finding his way to the back, and well, I'm sure he'll find his way back up to the front. It gets a little bit harder now as we're nearing halfway on tonight's race, lap number 75, as I mentioned. Looks like pace car lights are again out. 70 machine on the front row into his outside that 48. He got a pretty good start there last time by. Is he going to be able to get another one and possibly make that outside line work? And who knows, maybe he's going to be able to to run that groove and pass the 70 machine on this start. We'll see.
So with brand new fresh tires, these drivers have an opportunity trying to figure this race out. The whole race changed once they get past that stage break, and we go back to green here in Richmond.
Here you go, another great start out of that number 48 of Austin Wheeler, trying to keep it tight into turn number 1, try to pinch him down. He's not going to be able to get there, but he is going to be able to slide into second. Well, it looks like he might be able to carry some momentum off 2, got way wide, just a little bit, about near tapped the outside line wall, but he's going to make it work as he gets way loose off of 4.
So loose, he may have just, he saved it though. I'll give him credit, that was an amazing save at the 48, but you've got to go back to our keys to tonight's event. You've got to have a little bit of patience.
Very rarely do you see a car get that sideways out of a corner and be able to save it. Excellent driving out of that number 48 machine to get that car back righted in the correct direction. And now he still didn't even lose a spot here. He's going to be able to get back into the tire tracks of the number 70 machine and lay down a couple more laps and see if he can get back to the front. As we see cars out through the back, 1, 2, 3, 4 cars tapping the outside wall off of 2 once again.
Austin Wheeler just put in an amazing lap. I think he just set the fastest lap so far tonight. Yes, he did. Lap 78, Austin Wheeler, 21.649.
And how about that for a driver that just about wrecked his race car? Drivers are a different breed, man. You get loose one corner, you forget about it, go right back at it and start putting down your best laps of the race, 24.649. As you mentioned, going purple in the night, and looks like he may just have something for that number 70 machine. And again, we saw it earlier in the race, just a few minutes ago, as we have a little bit of contact out back. The 88 machine once again getting to the outside wall. No caution right now, but we saw the 48 getting a little bit heavy into the throttle. We have a caution out right now, but we saw him charge to the front quick and then start to fade. The 48 managing its tires. We'll see. We'll see at the end of this run how he's going to have, but looks like the 36 bringing out our next caution with only 4 laps into our second drive.
All right. This actually worked out pretty well, I think, for the 24 of Matt Parasini. I think this caution will allow him to make up his, get that lucky dog and make up that lap he was down.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, 36 finds himself in the pits after bringing out we have our 5th caution of the night here at Richmond, here at lap 82. Billy Smith up on top with Austin Wheeler there in second. We saw some fabulous driving with that 48, both in a save and in a fast lap there.
You see another couple of drivers finding their way down to pit road. Of course, John Ledger, Don Druders, and a couple other as well. So, again, trying to get some repairs fixed, get some damage taken care of as we again start to kind of near into halfway here at Richmond. Again, same drivers up front. Is there going to be anybody else that's going to kind of tap their way into that top position and contend here for the lead later on into tonight? Seems like a kind of a 2 to 3 man race here going into halfway.
All right. Just 17 laps away for the halfway point here at Richmond. We thank you again for tuning in to tonight's event here on the IWM Broadcast Network. Each week we bring to you some of the best in sim racing on Wednesday night series with the Tech for Troops Cup Series. Just finished up its event at Auto Club, and they'll be at Daytona for next week as they also finish up their regular season. So if you're not doing anything on Wednesday night, tune on in to our Wednesday night series.
Yeah, that Wednesday night series, a league that I used to compete in quite a bit in its early days. The first couple seasons I ran and got a couple wins, lucked into a couple for sure. Especially one being Coda. I am not in any means a road course racer, but I weasel myself into a strategy call there at the end. But a really fun league to race in. I wish I still had time on Wednesday nights to try to run again. Being more of a short track driver, I usually stick to tour mods, late models, and super lates here. But next gen, still a little bit of fun every now and again to try to take on to the big tracks. As once again the pace car lights are out, we're going to be going back green here in just a moment. Continues to be once again the number 70 machine Billy Smith and Austin Wheeler to his outside. Will we see another excellent start out of that 48 machine on this restart here? He had a great shot at it last time, trying to time that restart zone and pinch him into one. I think the 70 machine may just have to kind of change up his start, shake it up a little bit. That 48 is ready.
Yeah, these drivers have got a little bit of wear already on these tires. That's a positive thing. Get a little grip going, a little heat in the tires. Restart's always a little sketchy here.
And again, how about that restart for the 48, getting ahead of steam out there. He's going to be, again, door to door, down as to turn number 1 and 2, and off of the second turn, gets a little bit wide again, but he's got a nose going down into 3 here.
You know, there's always a distinct advantage for that leader here. He controls the restart, but the 48 has found a way.
Found a way, and on that outside line, honestly, such a great running here for that 48 machine. Again, carrying the momentum through every single corner. We saw a little bit earlier in the night that outside can carry for a little bit here, and he's showing once again that he's going to be able to get it done, and he just may clear off of 4.
48 gets around the 70, takes over the lead here at Richmond.
Man, what an excellent move out of the 48 machine of Austin Wheeler there, getting the lead once again. We talked about it earlier, though, how hard that 48 is running earlier into the stages. Is that car going to hang on and last as we get later on into the night in this second set of tires here? Again, extending his lead right off the rip. 2-3 car lengths now, just ahead of Smith.
Field stretching for the top 10 right now. They're all single file here around Richmond. As we get back here around the 10th spot, you see some challenges there happening with the 29, 28, I guess, with Joe Musso trying to attack the 55 of Vince Burns.
Yeah, there you go. Another driver that's trying to make his way up to the front. Again, kind of keeping that line right there on that apron, on that yellow line there, and off of 4, keeping the tires up on him, not letting him slip up a whole lot up off the corners. That's going to serve as well on the end of this run here. But great racing all around the racetrack here in Richmond.
35 of Tyler Sexton trying to get under the 17 of Austin Walton. He's got a little bit of challenge to the outside with the 3 of Ron Fitting as he tries to work his way back up to where he started from.
Yeah, great recovery out of that 17 machine of Austin Walton. Just a reminder that he was caught up in an incident earlier into the night as we have some contact there into 1. Not around just yet. Got it going. Kept it in the right direction. Great save out of the 38 machine.
Wow, that's the 38 of Shane Trotter. Fabulous recovery.
Great job.
Caught that one live, folks. Always a lot of action back of the pack. No one ever doubts that there's always great driving all around this track.
That's one of the things that whenever you go to a race like this live, there's always something to watch here at Richmond, just like all the other racetracks that are short tracks in Bristol. And there's always something going on that TV just never seems to capture. But we got that one here for the IWM Broadcast Network. So great work from our cameraman, catching that one there live.
See the 42 of Tony Jabs trying to get under the 79 of Scott Thomas as he tries to work his way up.
Yeah, trying to find his way back up into the top 10. That's going to be the 11th position there. So just barely sitting on the outside of that top 10 spot. Looks like the 17 again on his heels wanting that spot. As we work hard again. 42 runs way wide. Looks like he may just be able to yield that position to the 17 there off of 4.
Yeah, that's one of the things you've got to do as you manage this race. That's the key. You really are managing this race. You can battle door to door for as long as you want, but you're going to give up a lot of tire wear. You're going to really put some heat in those tires. Sometimes discretion's a better part of value. Let the guy go. fight another day.
Yeah, and then you kind of have the advantage of if there's a guy that you know is quite quicker than you and quite quicker than a lot of the guys up in front of you, well, you might just be able to follow them through the tire tracks and make up a couple spots that he makes his way back up through the front. You can kind of find a few easy spots there as he kind of shuffles cars into the outside line and makes his way through. Might find yourself in a pretty good spot there at the end.
You got it. All right, up to 5th place with Eric Jeffers. He is in that 12 car. He is doing his darndest to catch that rocket ship that Austin Wheeler is up there on. He's got the 27 of Corey Ennis in front of him. Jordan Wenzel is sitting in 3rd. Billy Smith in 2nd, and Austin Wheeler currently leading here at Richmond as we just about get to the halfway point.
Halfway point looking again there at the front as we take a look here. Some of the lap times again. Austin Wheeler, he was so quick there at the start, just ran a 22.310, but that car in 2nd just a little bit quicker last couple laps. He was in the 22.2s last time by, but we'll see. Does the 70 machine start to kind of back up and start to get back up to the 48 here longer into this run?
All right, solid racing all around as we slip past the halfway point here. Thanks again for tuning in to our IWM broadcast. Here again, I am Rick Souza here with Ryan Pittman as we bring to you the Cookout 200 here at Richmond.
Got another great battle on the racetrack right now as we see Tyler Bostic getting by the number 12 machine of Eric Jeffers. That's going to slot Ty back up into the top 5 spot here as we just crossed through halfway. He's finally made it there, top 5 out of starting all the way in the back in 23rd position. Ty Bostic still looking to see if he can find a few more spots here by the time this race is over, but he's got a long way to go still. It's only 5 drivers, but it only gets tougher from here.
I did notice that John DeRugis may be having some connection issues because he was gone. He's back. He may have some connection issues. That's one of the things we unfortunately face here. It is a simulation. You are at the mercy of the internet, and unfortunately, both whether it's your rig or iRacing, sometimes weather plays a factor.
Yeah, and iRacing's done a great job as far as trying to keep those things under wraps in their new implementation of the internet connection rules. So those drivers may be subject to that, but another couple drivers that looks like they have retired for the night. The Bradley Reese and Matthew Piracini have both disconnected from the race. So those 2 drivers, both 19 laps down and I believe 4 laps down, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe it's 20 and 24. So.
They packed up their haulers and they're headed out. All right, but who has not checked out on this race, who has not left, and who has been pretty dominant here so far for a number of laps is the 48 of Austin Wheeler.
Yeah, again, the driver getting so wide off of turn number 4 at the start of that has really found his groove there at the front, got the lead just moments after that mistake off of 4. Man, what a drive he's had at the end of this run. Really, honestly, that 70 machine has not closed in on him as far as laps as we had so far. So he may have learned a little bit from the last run there and timed it just a little bit better.
All right, 109 laps complete here at Richmond. So Ryan, I think if we go on fuel only, I think these drivers could find a point at which they'll make one stop sometime after lap 140. And at that point, if we stay green all the way, they'll come down 4 tire stop, and that'll be all she wrote for stops.
And that's kind of what I mentioned earlier into the into the night that this is one of those racetracks where, things kind of get spread out. It can go green for quite some time, and the possibility of green flag pit stops here is not out of the question by any means, and how much of a shakeup that would be if you're a driver trying to figure out when you want to try to come down pit road. Again, we're just about 25, 30 laps away from that decision here, so still quite a bit of time to try to figure out your strategies and where you want to go.
All right, solid effort here from these drivers, especially Austin Wheeler, Billy Smith, Jordan Wenzel, Ty Bostic, and Corey Ennis. That is your top 5. Looking around the track, looking for some other stories. Joe Musso, he is up 10 positions. He's got Austin Walton on his tail. He's up 11 positions. So these two drivers running in 9th and 10th, both are big position movers from their qualifying.
Yeah, and a great drive, as you mentioned, for that number 17 machine. Finally breaking back into the top 10 is looks like the number 3 of Ron Fitting and Vice Burns battling it out there for 11th and 12th. Great racing a little bit further back in the back.
Yeah, Ron Fitting continues to climb up from that penalty he had to serve out, and really making a big move. Great driving by that number 3 driver in that familiar paint scheme.
You see the number 42, Tony Japs, along with the 19 of John Ledger, again on the outside, kind of running a little bit wider than a lot of other drivers, while the 42 slips down now, trying to get by the, what is that, the number 15 machine?
55 of Vince Burns.
55, yep.
Got the 59 of John DeRudris on his tail on the outside.
Oof. John DeRudris getting right up against that wall, probably couldn't get much more than that before he contacted it, but great driving to keep it off the wall there for the 59. Again, really right up there off of 2 as well.
The 59 of John Drugis, he came down. A couple of drivers are on a completely different pit strategy than others. You can look back and see we've got the 59 of Drugis. He pitted on lap 82. The same with Shane Trotter, John Ledger, Richard Mills. Those guys came in on a nearly a 15 lap different strategy than these other folks. So there's 2 different competing pit strategies, at least that I see amongst these drivers. We'll see how it all plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're starting to get down to the final 80 laps here for the Cookout 200 and the iNASCAR Racing Series. Of course, being broadcasted by the IWM Broadcast Network here. Some great racing all around the racetrack. We mentioned all the clean racing, and what a pleasure it's been to kind of watch these drivers battle it out on the 3/10 or the 3/4 mile of Richmond Raceway, if I can get that out. I about to say 3/10. That's not right.
That's a really short track.
Yeah, that's my kind of short track.
2 drivers are in the pits right now. That's Richard Mills in the 88 and the 35 of Tyler Sexton with Grease Monkey Motorsports. They're both serving that in. Again, as we did our math, they're 80 laps from the finish. They could, mathematically, this could be their last stop. So they could be good to go with 4 fresh tires and Sunoco fuel.
Yeah, that could definitely be interesting here as we get down into the latter part of this race. But again, just an awesome drive out of that number 48 machine, still holding lap times that are better than any other at the top of the field. So again, last time by 22.662 out of Austin Wheeler. Only honestly a couple hundredths, 200ths. Well, say it again. 21.649 was the best lap. So lap times have actually fallen off just a little over a second here later on into this run. Wow.
See the drivers making their way around, the leaders making their way around. The 18 of Dakota LaRue putting him a lap down. And we'll begin to see that as this race begins to spread out, and especially once we get to green flag stops. Because once green flag stops, this field is going to get spread out across the entire track, and these leaders will have to deal with lap traffic.
Yeah, and that is a very unnerving time for your leaders trying to figure out, man, is this thing really going to go green? Are we really going to have to deal with green flag pit stops? And honestly, the biggest thing is you just don't want to be the first guy down and just happen to catch a caution at the wrong time. That can certainly end your race as far into the night as we've gone so far. Going a lap down and catching a caution at the wrong time, man, your night could be done in a hurry.
All right, we'll see what happens next and how these leaders begin to choose when they'll pit. Again, they're well within the window at this point, so it's really how they want to finish this race. Do they wait it out? Because they've certainly got time. Since they pitted last on lap 67, they probably have really, they can go to lap 150 if they choose to.
Yeah, I think if you're at the front, you got to run this thing out just until you're just about empty on fuel. Just because the risk reward just is not there. Going down to pits, and you're going to be 1, maybe even 2 laps down by the time you exit pit road. So obviously that trade-off is not there. Although, again, if you're a little bit further in the back, we talked about the lap times falling off just a little bit more than a full second. About 1 second and 2/10 here on this long run. So if you do pit a little bit early, get some fresh tires, come out on the racetrack, you might be able to make up a little bit of time if the caution don't come out. But is it worth it, Rick?
I think it's worth it if that's your strategy.
I think it's worth it if you've got nothing else to lose. If you're within the top 10, it's not even worth a shot. But hey, if you're one of those drivers that's in that playoff bubble, or you got to try anything, I don't know. It's either send it now or send it in Daytona. It's your call. You know?
That's right. So we did notice that Richard Mills and Tyler Sexton's still in the pits. Richard Mills was in there for over 3 minutes. He's now find himself, I think, 10 laps down.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing as well.
Yep, he is now 10 laps down. It continues for Tyler Sexton there.
And obviously the possibility there is maybe getting loose off of turn number 2 like we've kind of seen multiple times tonight, and catching that outside wall and breaking a toe link or damaging the car beyond repair or something like that. And sometimes the cameras just don't catch that. So that's always a possibility. That might have been what happened to one of those drivers, not actually caught up in an incident in itself, but just out there on the racetrack, maybe catching a wall.
Looking around the field, that's the 5th place driver of Coriolis, jumping down to Austin Walton here in 10th. Austin is in the 17 car. He's got the 3 right behind him. That's Ron Fitting. Looking back now in 15th, that's John Ledger. For the most part, we're single lined here. We're not, don't see a lot of battles happening around the track at the moment.
Yeah, I think we're kind of beyond the possibility of getting a caution here. I think this thing is probably going to go green up into the finish, or at least, up until pit stops here. As I think the tires starting to kind of wear out. They're probably going to start to get a little tight, as I would imagine.
You say that, and I'm looking around for wood to knock here in the broadcast studio.
How superstitious are you, Rick?
Just a tad, just enough. Just enough.
Not superstitious, just a little stitious.
Just a little. That's it. I'm medium stitious.
There you go. Yeah, we'll kind of wait to see who's going to be the first takers. You said we might be able to stretch it all the way up until around lap number 150, 145, 150 may be the line here. As some of these drivers start to kind of dip down the pit road, force their hand. But again, I would doubt that we will see any of these top 10 drivers go down anytime soon. They're going to be running it just until empty here. But we might start seeing just a couple of those drivers go for it.
See, the 70 of Billy Smith has caught right up to the tail of Austin Wheeler here as they encounter some traffic. You see them right on the bumper of the 55 of Vince Burns. Vince is the last car on the lead lap.
As he works to navigate traffic, Vince doing a great job staying way high and out of the way of these two leaders battling it out here. He's not going to be able to clear him off of 4. That's going to kind of slow him down just a little bit as we start to look to get back into 1. That 70 machine might be starting to close up a little bit here as we get to the tail end of this run.
These drivers work their way around the 55 of Vince Burns as we are headed towards 140 laps.
Yeah, Vince Burns, tenth and a half quicker that last time by. So, will the 70 machine start to kind of find a little bit of heat, or will the 48 hang on in these last laps before they're going to force their hand and possibly find themselves in pit road?
Yeah, one thing we can't tell is we can't see just how much fuel is in these cars. We do our best to estimate that based on a little bit of math and some experience. But, you know, with the cautions that's come out, with a little bit of fuel saving, with the run that the driver makes, his shifting pattern, that all falls back on the driver.
Yeah, and just like in real life, it's tough to tell. You know, we were watching races at Iowa and Indianapolis, and even the broadcast team was trying to guess in real life, you know, how much fuel they had. But yeah, they always seem to be a little bit off here. It looks like there might be a couple drivers back down there in 14th, 15th, 16th, 17th, starting to find their way onto pit road. Things might start happening here in a hurry.
Yeah, the 42 of Tony Japs is in on pit road right now. The 59 of John Drudris, John Ledger, and Shane Trotter all on pit road, getting their final service of the night. Actually pull off some great pit stops in the mid-14s. So based on that, I'm thinking, you never know.
Yeah, I think things are going to start heading in that direction, Rick. But this, again, is where you got to be careful, because now you're going to have a lot of drivers that, well, they got to let their tires heat up a little bit before they start really going at it. But once drivers start hitting the racetrack with this fresh rubber, it's the closing rates are going to be much, much more. We were talking about, again, a second and a half here quicker than the rest of the field that you're going to be working through. It looks like we might have a caution here, Rick.
Caution's out here at lap 144. Not really sure what happened. Looking around the track, if you see something, say something. Ledger, John Ledger.
Yep.
And he had
saw him get loose.
Yeah, he had
Maybe
just come in. Yeah. Well, we're taking a look right now. That's the 19 of Ledger. He's on fresh, cold tires, and unfortunately, looks like he backs it in. Some right rear damage on that 19.
What I see there is that was just such a shallow entry into 1, and again, those cold tires with the brake bias might have caught him off guard just a little bit here, and here we go.
Yeah,
lead cars down pit road.
Looks like the decision to pit has been taken off the table. They don't have to make it. It's happening right now.
Yeah, this may be the pit stop of the night for these leaders here, the 48 and the 70, trying to see if they can best one each other off of pit road. Looks like the 48 making the wise decision to take 4 tires here. He's going to be hitting the throttle and back off pit road. Look to see where he's going to slot himself. He just passed the 70. He's going to be back in the lead, or at least leading these cars off pits right now.
Looking through our telemetry and around pit road, everybody took 4 tires and fuel. Now, with every good winner in making decisions, there's unfortunately going to be a few folks who would wind up in that loser category. Unfortunately, the situation as such, a number of drivers who had come into pit and went multiple laps down, Japs, Thomas, Trotter, they now find themselves a lap down.
Yeah, but they should be able to, unless they were 2 laps down, they've already taken the wave around. But that's a possibility, or they may be able to get their lap back here. At least 1 lap back. We'll have to see where it times out with the pace car. But they may be able to actually get back on the lead lap if things work out to their favor.
Yep, we'll see if they get the wave around when the lights go off on top of the pace car. We really appreciate all of you who have tuned in here to the IWM broadcast of the iNRS Racing Series. We've had a fabulous race so far tonight here at Richmond. Thank you from myself here, Rick Sousa, and Ryan Pittman for tuning in. And whether you're watching it live or you're going to watch this later on replay, we thank you again for being part of the IWM broadcast family.
Yep. Pace car lights are out. We're getting ready to send them back green for the final 53 laps here in Richmond for the Cookout 200. And again, the 48 machine, who made it out of pit road first, once again chooses that bottom line. 70 machine on the outside. We talked about the 48 being so great on that outside line. We'll see if the 70 can hold a candle to it as we get back up to the greers and back to green flag. The 48 sliding up in front of the 70. We are back green.
He shut down that outside run. Great choice by the 48, very strategic in that restart.
And that slow start for the 70 of Billy Smith is going to allow another car to slide up to his inside door there for Jordan Wenzel. So not the opportunity that the 70 was looking for here, but the great opportunity that the 48 was looking for, as we are wide. A lot of cars off the pace here, back off through the field. Almost calamity there, but we are still green.
There's
might have to go back and look at that, Rick.
A little bit of contact there, yeah. Go back real quick.
I don't know how we didn't get a caution there. That was wild. Two cars getting loose. Wow.
27 going around. Wow. A lot of action back in the field, and with that, Austin Wheeler puts up another smoking lap. 21.632 here, lap 149.
He's going to be going purple up on the board. Best lap of the race out of any other drivers. We just crossed the 3-quarter mark here in Richmond, the 48 machine. We talked about multiple drivers looking like they were going to be the star of the show here tonight. We talked about the 70, the 81, and, well, the 22 who start to kind of find himself in fourth, but multiple drivers and none other than that 48 machine that looks like he's going to be the one to beat later on into this race. Austin Wheeler holding the field in his rearview mirror at the time.
Looking back through the field, lots of action, lots of two-wide racing here. Look at back in the top 10. You see right there the 12 of Eric Jeffers. He's got the 25 of Jacob Musso on his tail. Just behind that, Dakota LaRue in that red car to the inside. You got Vince Burns and Corey Ennis in the 27.
Yeah, battles all around the racetrack. A little bit further back, we see two wide in multiple positions here as we start to narrow in on the final laps here. And those drivers that were in that lock-in spot for the championship, they're starting to get to the point where we got to start to make something happen. All those drivers that were looking from the outside in, your window's closing.
Yep, it's shut fast here. First one race left to gamble on, but I'd rather gamble here at Richmond than I would at Daytona.
That is for sure.
Back up front, your leader, Austin Wheeler, continues to put on a show here. Bring up the laps led information. He's led 109 laps. Billy Smith right there, 23. Tyler Lem. Between those three drivers, they have led all the laps here at Richmond.
Impressive to say the least. Wow.
Right now, the biggest battle is really these three drivers that are sitting behind Tyler Lem. They're all chasing second. Smith, Wenzel, and Bostic trying to find a way around. They see these laps ticking away, just 42 laps to the conclusion, and these laps go by fast.
Oh, for sure. We're talking about the lap times just in the 21, 22 second bracket, so You're talking about 3 laps a minute here around Richmond Raceway. It can go away in a hurry, and your clock is ticking. If you're that 70 machine, you can't bet on a caution here at the end. You've got to try to make something happen. Find a different line, find a different groove, but just as he tries to find that groove, he's got the 81 knocking on his back door.
$160 laps in the books here at Richmond. Wheeler continues to lead. Billy Smith in second with Jordan Wenzel in third, Bostic in fourth, Lem in fifth.
Single file through the pack here, top 4 drivers pulling away from the rest of the field. Looks like we've got about a 4-second breakaway from the top 4 to the 5th spot. So these are your 4 drivers here at the end of the race that seems like they've got Richmond figured out. Any one of these drivers can still pull off the victory. Or, well, it is Richmond. Just about anything can happen, and just about anything has happened in Virginia, for sure.
Yep, absolutely. You know, this is really now the battle of the mistakes. Whoever can commit the fewest mistakes with 38 laps left will be the winner.
Yeah, and it's kind of interesting trying to watch the lines here as they head through the corners. The 81 machine just a little bit wider than a lot of the others. Trying to figure out if that's just a different groove that he's found, or if he's having trouble hitting his marks. He's still competitive as we take an on-board watch here. Again, just a little bit wider than those in front of him. A little bit wider exit off of 2 as well.
Yeah, one thing I noticed, he did not shift at all. No downshift. He's just staying in 5th, cruising along.
Able to carry that momentum through the corners a little bit better. So different perspectives, different ideologies on how to get around this. This, I guess, not technically a bull ring, but for NASCAR's perspective, it is a shorter track on the schedule.
Yeah, he lets that engine run right up against the chip there. He's good with that and doesn't shift it. One last thing to worry about as he makes his way around. But let's jump on board with the 22 of Ty Bostic. Let's see what. Now you see a little bit different approach here with the 22. See him downshifting in the 4th gear, get a bit more torque coming out of those corners.
Yeah, not shifting may allow him to save a little bit more rear tire as well, so that may benefit him on the run. Able to kind of save the good years off the rubber, off of 4 and off of 2. But I tell you what, Rick, I never really was much of a fan of shifting in a race car, and you know, with these next gen cars, they just become more and more, and we start to see shifting even at some of the 1.5 mile tracks in the Cup Series nowadays, and it's just something that I've never really gotten used to.
Well, it certainly is a challenge for a driver as you downshift. Obviously, there's more torque that heads out to that rear tire, and with that comes the opportunity for a little bit of wheel spin as you get back and hammer down on that throttle. You've got to really be careful so you don't spin those tires.
And you can use it a little bit to your benefit as well. Getting into the corner, if you can manage to downshift just a little bit earlier, if you're getting tight into the corner, you can downshift to kind of let the rear slip just a little bit, almost kind of simulating a little bit more rear brake bias. I've done that in the past, and it can kind of help you, but you also got to be careful about it, on the other hand, and not hit it too early and blow it up or something of the sort.
These leaders are dealing with the lap down car of John Ledger, who graciously moves up to the high line and allows the leaders to kind of work their way around him. Not the day that the 19 wanted to have tonight, but that just shows good sportsmanship when any driver gets out of the way of the leaders. He does not want to be part of the story that impacts the race.
Yeah, sometimes when it's not your night, it's just not your night, and you kind of let the others kind of wrestle it out and race it out to the finish, but still continues to be the same drivers up at the front. It looks like maybe possibly the battle for the lead starting to heat up just a little bit here. Last time by 22.488 to a 22.387 there for your second place drivers, so things might start to kind of swing here for the number 70 machine. We'll see.
Yeah, they're just fractions of a second apart here. if you're that 70, we saw some great runs so far tonight. It's just finding your time. When's the way to go? You've got 28 laps left. That's only going to be just a few minutes away from this race being called. Billy Smith.
28 times 3, whatever that number winds up to be. But yeah, it's winding down in a hurry, Rick.
Yeah, just outside of 9 minutes, if you just assume that 3 laps per minute left in this race. See Shane Trotter in the 38. He is in the pits. He's got that orange flag indicates, that black and orange flag indicates he's got some damage on that race car. He's been shown the meatball flag by race control.
Yeah, probably once again got into the outside line or outside wall at some point later on in this race, and unfortunate end to the night for that number 38 machine. But again, well, the top 4, while they're still there, starting to separate just a little bit more. Again, still hold a pretty heavy control of field just ahead of the guys in 5th, 6th, and 7th and onward. Just pretty much smooth sailing here at the front for these drivers, Rick. And honestly, 48 kind of seemed like he might have it in the bag here, as long as, again, he doesn't get slipped up, doesn't look in the rearview mirror too much. The 70 trying to apply a little bit of pressure, but as it seems, he's starting to kind of slip on his own further and further behind as the laps start to wind down here. Again, very comparable laps, 22.566 to a 22.564 for your driver up back. Just a little bit quicker, but 0.2 or 0.02 of a second, you're going to need more than that as we finish out this race.
Yeah, Billy Smith currently showing in second, is not eligible for the playoffs. He joined the league a little bit later, but, you know, a win's a win. You have the opportunity to get out front and win this race. Every good racer I know wants to take that victory.
Chasing trophies.
Absolutely. All right, looking back in the field at what may be some close racing back in trying the 3 of Ron Fitting back here. He's got his hands full with the 12 of Eric Jeffers. But really, after that last round, even though it was a caution, things are kind of working their way out. This is a tight battle here between the 59 of John DeRudras, Vince Burns. A lot of action happening here. They're not up front racing, but heck, they're still wanting to get out there and battle.
Yeah, the 55 machine tapping the wall just a little bit there off of, I believe it was 4 last lap around. So a lot of these drivers still, you're kind of getting into the area of possibly fatigue here. After all these laps, you kind of start to see a little bit of double vision at times. And that's when mistakes can happen in a hurry here at Richmond. And really, this race isn't over yet, Rick. You know, we've done this for a little while. We've seen racing here. Things are spread out, but anybody at any time can make that one mistake that could change the course of this race.
Yeah, absolutely. With, you know, lap times in the 22-second range, you're basically going around this track, and frankly, you're going straight at this particular track for only a few seconds out of that entire lap around here. It's that short section of the backstretch. Everything else is a turn.
D-shaped oval, as you mentioned. I mean, the only other track probably more round is something like Oxford Plains on the sim, but I know they don't take the cup cars there for sure. We're going to be racing the Oxford 250 for the super late models in my league in the next couple of weeks, and that's 250 laps around a straight up circle. So that's going to be a lot of fun and a lot of turning for sure. Arms get tired.
Yeah, well, absolutely. You know, the only time we really see these short tracks with these cars is we see it at the Clash at the start of the season. We see it at North Wilkesboro, and really these specialty events.
I look forward to hopefully getting Will McGray in the sim within the next year or so. Maybe the NASCAR 25 game can kind of push that along and get that ball rolling. Bowman Gray on the sim would be a lot of fun. I'm sure the racing would probably be a little wild and officials, but between friends, it's usually pretty fun.
I don't even think that even the sim racing can beat what actually happens at Bowman Gray each weekend. It is wild.
Yeah. Of course, going back to Bowman Gray, our thoughts go out to the family of Robbie Brewer. I don't know if you heard the news that there was a driver that suffered a heart attack and cardiac arrest off of 4 on a restart, and unfortunately lost his life down there at Bowman Gray. So I'll take a moment to kind of send a prayer to that family as to close down into 14 laps here to go at Richmond.
Yeah, it's one of the things that there's so much happening across the country at short tracks. You see the drivers that are pulling up to them. They're everyday working guys that have a business, or they're able to cobble the money together to get a car to go racing, whether that's modifieds or sportsmen or whatever class of race that they're getting in. It's a family event. They get out there, and it's just as competitive, just as fiery. If you do live near a short track, go. Bring the family. Be prepared for a wild event, and take advantage of the opportunity to meet your friends, meet your neighbors, and enjoy some great competitive racing.
Yeah, for me, and I'll try not to get into much a short track kick here, but short track racing to me is really where the passion lies, because there's no money in it. It's just where people love and going out to their short track, and short tracks are dying all across the country. We've lost a lot of great ones here in the Carolinas, Myrtle Beach, Greenville, Pickens, and just a few to name the least. And we're going to be going down to Anderson actually at the end of this week for the Cars Tour race, and actually try to swing by Greenville, Pickens, and maybe take some drone photos of that old abandoned racetrack as we're getting down into the final 10 laps here at Richmond. 2 hands outstretched from the flag man as he comes off turn number 4 down under the flag stand. 10 laps to go here at Richmond.
Austin Wheeler continues to show us the way with Billy Smith. They're trying to get back together. Billy Smith has got to try to find a way to narrow that gap between himself and Austin Wheeler. Hard to do, but he's hoping. He's hoping.
Yeah, at this point, you just got to pray for no mistakes here as you're down to the final laps. The 70 machine really not up on his heels too much. If you're the 48, you got to have the spotter in your ear. Don't even look out back. Just keep an eye out front. Make sure you hit your marks. Keep that wheel straight, and you've got one coming to you as long as we keep this thing clean and green, as it appears to be single file all the way throughout the field. And we might be able to close this thing down in a short few moments. 8 laps to go. 22 seconds lap. It's going to close down in a hurry.
Leaders make their way around the 55 of Vince Burns, working their way through traffic. Vince just lets the drivers go, as you would expect.
That may be some of the last lap traffic that we see here with only 7 laps to go. The next car about a quarter of a straightaway ahead, so depending on how fast these leaders get to them, we may only have 1 or probably at the most 2 lap cars before this thing is coming to a close. Looks like the 48 machine still holding a steady wheel here, just a little bit quicker than your driver in second, even still.
I think what you've got is Joe Musso. That's actually a 4th position for Joe. He is the last car on the lead lap, right in front of your leader. Just 6 laps as these laps continue to tick away here.
And you can still kind of see out of these drivers as once again they start to make their way through lap traffic and down into the final 5 laps of the race here. Still not gravitating too much away from that bottom line as they make only a few more revolutions around this 3/4 of a mile racetrack. Still holding a pretty wheel, keeping the line solid down there. Smooth and steady off of 4. 3 laps to go.
48 continues to make his charge. 70 is hoping to make a difference here, hoping something holds him up. They're about to come up to the lap down car of Ledger in the 19. See the 19 move up to the high line.
Yeah, it looked like the 19 making an early decision to let the drivers know that I'm going to stay up here and I'm going to be out of your way. let these two drivers battle out here at the finish of the Cookout 200 at Richmond Raceway for the iNASCAR Racing Series on IWM Broadcast Network. Man, Rick, it's been a pleasure as we close down our final laps here of the race. A lot of fun, a lot of excitement. 2 laps to go.
Next time by, these drivers will take the white flag, giving them 1 lap to go to finish here at Richmond.
Two now getting ready for 1 lap to go, and this may be the closest we've seen these two drivers at the front. The 70 machine diving it deep. The 48 may have been a little bit of conservative the last couple laps. He's going to have to step on the throttle here. White flag in the air. The 70 is right on his back bumper, Rick.
They're making a race of it here. Just a couple turns to go. 70's last chance to make a difference.
70 getting a little bit wide there off of 2. Slipped up just a little bit.
Oh,
there
missed
to the bumper.
Tapping the bumper, the 48.
But it's not going to be enough. The 48 Austin Wheeler collects the victory in Richmond, Virginia for the Cookout 200. Man, what a finish. I thought we were going to see the conclusion to the 2016 race between Carl Edwards and Kyle Busch here at Richmond. That was a good finish.
Great finish. Wow, that was awesome. Billy Smith did everything he could to put the 48 in second. Didn't work out. 48 Austin Wheeler wins tonight here in Richmond. Billy Smith second, Jordan Wenzel third. Don't go away. We should have all 3 drivers here on the podium in the broadcast booth in a couple of minutes. All right.
Hey, man.
That was awesome. Okay, with that, let's go ahead and bring up the results of tonight's event. You see the 48 celebrating. All right, there you have it. Austin Wheeler wins here at Richmond. Billy Smith in second. Jordan Wenzel third. Ty Bostic fourth. Tyler Lemon fifth. Jacob Musso in sixth. Ron Fitting in seventh. Austin Walton in eighth. Eric Jeffers ninth. Corianis in 10th.
11th is going to be Joe Musso. 12th is going to be John DeRudris. Dakota Leroux in 13th. 14th, Tony Japs. 15th, Vince Burns. 16th, Scott Thomas. 17th, John Ledger. 18th, Shane Trotter. 19th, Richard Mills. 20, Tyler Sexton. 21st, Matt Perusini. 22nd, Bradley Reese. And to follow at your field, it's going to be Mike Wheel in 23rd.
All right, and we do have Jordan Wenzel. Let's go ahead and bring Jordan into the broadcast booth here. All right, there he is, Jordan. Congratulations. Man, that was a great race here at Richmond.
Yeah, it just felt like I was stuck the entire time. Couldn't do anything. They were just the best of the rest. There was only 2 cars that were competitive tonight.
Well, you certainly, you guys put on a pretty good show, but it certainly was hard to pass out here.
Yeah, it was just difficult, and then you had to save tire while not getting past, and I didn't have it. And just, yeah.
Well, you may be disappointed in your finish. We congratulate you on your 3rd place finish, but you guys did put on a heck of a show.
Yeah, it's a good thing that we did this. Like I said, I'm just tired of being 3rd. It's that competitive nature. You always want to win. That's why even 3rd place feels like crap.
Well, you've had as we wind down the regular season, you have had a great season so far, but next week is a crapshoot at Daytona, and then we start the playoffs and things change.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm worried about this. Is if I'm this far off here, and when we get to like Bristol and we get to other tracks, even Phoenix in the championship round, then it's not going to be that easy to win the championship when you're the 3rd best car out there.
Well,
so I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, well, that's a great attitude, though. We've seen you do really well this season. I'm sure it will continue.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
You got it. Well, any shout-outs tonight?
All my friends have been helping me, trying to support me. My team, who My teammate, Ty Bostic for sure. He's or not Ty Bostic, Tyler. I'm so out of it right now. I was battling Ty Bostic the entire race. That's why his name was in my head. But no, Tyler Lim, he got the win last week after I died, and
Yes.
yeah, he's just all the people that I race with, and you guys for putting this on. It's fun,
Well, again,
even when you're upset.
yeah. Well, congratulations. Even when you're upset with the third place finish, I'm sure we'll see you next week and maybe talk to you again.
Alrighty.
You got it. All right, that's Jordan Wenzel here, third place, and in the booth we'll bring in a Billy. Let's find a way to bring him up. What just happened?
He's up here.
Oh, here we go. So odd. Billy, congratulations on your second place finish. Man, we thought you almost had it at the end there.
Yeah, thanks. Man, Austin was super tough. I thought I had something or had figured out something at the first longest, long run that we had, and my thoughts were, someone might, also kind of figure it out. If we get a couple sets of long runs here, and I think Austin kind of figured out a little something at least at the beginning of the run. I tried to reserve a little bit for the last few laps. It just wasn't enough.
Yeah, we saw you just put on some. We kind of figured you found something because man, there were some great runs where you just had some fabulous speed coming off of 4 and 2.
Yeah, I was just trying to, protect the front tires, using the gearing to get a little bit better of a run, and just paying attention to the throttle and all of that. Like I said, it just wasn't quite enough. I would have had to probably have turned him. I mean, even if we had a few more laps, it's so tough to pass.
Well, it made for a great finish here. Really a great race overall. Ryan and I were just, commenting about what sometimes Richmond is always a crapshoot. You just don't know what you're going to get. And you guys proved that it could be just a great race.
Yeah, it was pretty good. I mean, it was not, just all green flag runs. It was not a wreck fest and yellows. It was a little bit of mix, right? So we had a few little short runs, a few long runs, and a nice long run to finish it. So it was everyone seemed to be really paying attention and taking care of everything. So it made, it was a good race from the cockpit. So hopefully it was fun to watch.
It sure was from the broadcast booth for sure. Well, congratulations on your second place finish. Any shout outs tonight?
Yeah, just shout out to you guys again for putting on the great broadcast and everyone for running the league. It's pretty awesome. I'm glad to be here.
You got it. All right, that's Billy Smith coming in second tonight here in Richmond. And with that, we'll reach down into the green room and bring your winner of tonight's race, Mr. Austin Wheeler. Austin, congratulations on your win. Heck of a win tonight here at Richmond.
Oh man, I am wore out.
I think Ryan, you made a comment tonight just about how exhausting this, trying to get around this track is.
I mean, this aside from how exhausting this track is, I don't know if y'all saw my paint scheme tonight. It's a tribute to my best friend Jonathan that passed away unfortunately last year around this time, and this is our home track. We live within 45 minutes of this racetrack and thousands and thousands and thousands of laps here, and he was always better than me. So I had a teacher and everything else trying to push me to be better here, and I wanted to win here more than I wanted to win any race this season. I can tell you that.
Well, you had that maybe that little bit of help in the cockpit there and that paint scheme for sure. No, definitely appreciated. You deserve the win. You worked hard. You led a lot of laps. Certainly, you found something out there because you certainly one of the fastest cars on the track and a couple of super fast lap. I think you had the fastest lap of the night with a 21:63.
Yeah, and there was more out there than that. I learned very quickly in the first stage that I can definitely abuse the right front tire. I thought I was going to have a good chance of the stage win, and then with 5 to go, here comes Billy and Matt. I was like, well, damn, there goes that.
Yeah, Billy had mentioned that he had found something, but it still wasn't enough to get around you.
Yeah, luckily I learned my lesson in the first stage, and I knew how to pace myself a little better the last 2 runs. The second run I did really well with it, I thought. The third run, we were both pushing harder, and I wasn't sure if I saved enough there at the end. And then I made 2 different mistakes on the exit of 2, getting loose, and it's all about tenths when we're that close. And I lose a tenth or 2 every time I make that kind of mistake. I'm like, well, I really did not want him to be in striking distance when it came to 2 to go, and he was. But I hold the
Yeah.
break.
Yep. A little bit
Hope
of
for the best.
little bit of contact there as he raced you super hard, but you held it together. And again, congratulations on your victory.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it so much. I had a blast tonight. Love coming to Richmond, and love everybody that put on a good show tonight. We had a lot of green flag laps here. I don't think I've ever ran this many green flag laps on iRacing at Richmond.
No, it was as we were saying to Billy Smith and previously. You come to Richmond, you just never know. Is it going to be, is it going to be a rash of yellow flags, or can we see something like we saw tonight? We got a great race. You yourself, the league put on just a fabulous show.
Well, good. I'm glad you guys got to enjoy it, and I hope the viewers enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun inside the cockpit. So I'm gonna watch it tomorrow and enjoy it all over again.
Any shout outs tonight, Austin?
Yeah, everybody that sponsors the team. I know I don't have very many sponsors on the car tonight, but Wheelers Painting and Cash Customs and just my team at Smoky Mountain. Unfortunately, neither one of them could be here tonight. I think Christopher Cash had internet issues and Lucas had other obligations tonight, but they came in here late at the end and got in the lobby with me and was cheering me on, so I appreciate that more than they know.
There you go. All right, folks, there's your winner of tonight's Cookout 200 here at Richmond. That is Austin Wheeler taking home the victory here in the iNRS Racing Series. Ryan, any parting closing thoughts here tonight?
Well, nothing more than it was a great race and had a couple early cautions, but to have some green flag pit stops there just to finish this out, that was a lot of fun to watch. It's always a pleasure to be up here with you, Rick, and with IWM and the iNASCAR Racing Series and what all. Always a pleasure.
You got it. All right, so next week we'll be at Daytona in our Wednesday night series and here again on Thursday. Feel free to come back, join the broadcast for both series again next week at the Daytona International Speedway for the Coke Zero 200 here in the iNRS Racing Series. So for Ryan and myself, we thank you for tuning in and hope to see you next week. Have a good night, folks.